we'll get a timer up here. The first public speaker is Mr. Bob Brewer. You have 5 minutes, Mr. Brewer. You don't have to use all 5 minutes, but you have 5 minutes.
Well, thanks again. This is kind of what I wanted to say some of the last 2 weeks, and it's not specifically about the name change. The consideration of a name change is a tiny symptom of something much more persistent, pervasive, and pernicious. The renaming of a school or the removal of a monument is an attack on society by the erasure of our history. Orwell said the most effective way to destroy a people is to deny and obliterate their understanding of history. Once again, this is a tiny attack and an overall battle that we're suffering from all directions. Anyway, how can we learn from our history if we forcibly obliterate it? How can we learn from books if we burn them? How can we learn if we refuse to teach the books we've used throughout our history? How many times has anarchical overthrow started with the burning of books, the removal of statues, and the erasure of a society's history? An argument can be made that the original foundation of America's educational system, the first guarantee in our Bill of Rights, the very first, has been obliterated from government schools. Might the obliteration of this guarantee be why Christian parents sacrifice tens of thousands of dollars to avoid educating their children without this fundamental historical foundation? Might the increased frequency of underreported assaults on teachers and students be a manifestation of the obliteration of this part of our country's history and cornerstone? 15 years ago, Democrat Colorado Governor Lamm listed 7 ways to destroy a country. Today, how many of these are being enabled by our government schools?
History shows that no bilingual, bicultural country lives at peace with itself.
Mr. Brewer, we actually have a policy that says we're not going to play recorded.
Change that? Okay. Bilingualism. History shows no bicultural country lives at peace with itself. There's not one that doesn't exist with an incredible amount of tension and conflict, if not civil war. Multiculturalism. The first plan would say all cultures are created equal and then make it impossible to talk about culture. The second part would be to try very hard to make people continue their cultural identity. Third thing is make the fastest growing demographic group the least educated, then add a second underclass to the first underclass that is unassimilated, undereducated, antagonistic, and then have 50% of them drop out of school or not measure up to historical standards. Number 4, get big foundations to fund these efforts with lots of money. Invest in ethnic identity and victimology, and get the victims to think that their lack of success is the fault of a successful majority. Number 5, promote dual citizenship and promise people a divided loyalty. Number 6, place all of these subjects offline. Make it taboo to talk about or criticize them. Come up with a word like racist or racism and accuse anybody of racism that brings up these ideas. Number 7, make it impossible to enforce immigration laws and then develop a mantra that states that because immigration has been good in the past, it will continue to be good in the future. Now I ask, how many of Governor Lamm's plans are being practiced in our schools today? It's just pervasive. So anyway, closing. History cannot be changed by attempting to erase it, but racism and the destruction of America that we are experiencing in so many fronts can be solved by returning to the foundational text of American education and abiding by the principles of our Declaration and the letter of our supreme law. And in that regard, we have Constitution Week coming up. September 17th. I've got a bunch of these signs, yard signs, 6-foot banners, 3 feet wide. If we don't know our history, and it's obvious with everything we see in our society.
5 seconds, I got you on the timer.
The what?
The original timer, you got about 5 seconds.
Oh,
Yeah,
what is
it's
this?
late, it's a minute late, sorry.
Okay, so anyway, we got a chance to get educated Constitution Week.
Thank you. Thank you.
Second public speaker is